there was one other announcement Mark was going to make, and he said, hey, would you make it? I forgot. And that is this Friday, I'm starting a small group class here at the church, and it's really for those who haven't had a small group experience here or a life group experience here yet. And so you're invited. I only want to have 12 people at the max because I want it to be not just where I'm talking. I want there to be interaction. I want people to get to know one another. It's only for 4 weeks, Friday night from 7 to 8:30. And the topic matter is angels, demons, and spiritual warfare. And, so if you're interested, sign up in the back. But like I say, it's just for 12 folks. So now you know. We began this series on the emotionally healthy Christian just last week. And the reason because it's really important. And so there's the question out there, how am I? Or we ask, how are you? And the additional part is, how am I emotionally? And some folks, we answer that question the same way we answer the how am I question, how are you question. Well, I'm good, I'm fine. And sometimes we're not really sure how we're doing emotionally. We don't even often think that way, but we don't know how else to answer it. And so without getting into a lot of detail, we just say, I'm doing fine. And maybe we are doing fine, or maybe you are doing fine, and I hope we all are, but I know enough these days that a lot of people aren't doing so fine. And I mean, how do you know? How do you know if you're doing fine? What's the gauge? What's the metric? If we were to ask, did your team win Friday night? We know that one. We know, and as the game's going on, we know how that's going. Sometimes, I'm leaving early. It's not happening tonight. Or if you want to lose weight and you want to know if you're losing weight, you know what you do? Well, I think I'm losing weight. Sure seems like I'm losing weight. Have you weighed yourself? No, not doing that. Not doing that. I'm sure I prayed about it, and I'm pretty sure I am losing weight. Any external signs? No, none. I just am. Buying new clothes, belt notches and all these things. Hey, how you doing educationally? There's something called a GPA, right? Grade point average. You don't think, hey, you or your kids ever tell you keep asking them how you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. I think I'm doing good. I think I'm doing. Finally, the grades come out, and you're not doing so good. But it's easy to think we're doing good when we're not doing so good. Do you know what they do when your baby is born and you're still in the delivery room? Do you know what they do to the kid? They grade him, don't they? It's called APGAR scores. I remember we had two. I go, what are they doing with the kid? They're grading him. Reading stuff off, check, certain numbers, and they don't even know what in the world's going on. They just got here, and they're being graded already. Kids going, what's going on? Or in any sporting things, you always know because there's all these stats. I mean, you go to a baseball game, and there's all these numbers up there. Batting average, home runs, RBIs, pitch count, how many pitches the pitcher has thrown, whip, walks, hits per inning in an inning, how fast the ball came in. I mean, all this data. You can keep track of so many things, but when it comes to emotions, unless you've been diagnosed, and maybe you're on some meds, and some people are, it's nothing to be ashamed of. If you need that, well, then do that. But how do we really know? How you doing spiritually? Here's what some people, I was in church. We're glad you're in church. We are. Really, really, very, very glad. Everybody should be, generally speaking, that should be a priority, but a lot of them, for whatever reason, I'm not into that anymore. I do my own thing, and, I hear you. How you doing spiritually? Well, I read my Bible. I'm glad you read your Bible. So glad. You should do that. Everybody should do that. We should probably spend more time doing that and learn and get some stuff from it. Or everybody has some way to gauge how they're doing, I say emotionally and spiritually. It may or may not be accurate, though. Do you love your spouse? You would say yes. Are you acting lovingly toward your spouse? Most of the time, right? Most of the time, we would answer. So, meaning, most of the time I am. So, I'm doing pretty good. And since no one's perfect, everyone's going to blow it from time to time. But, I only slap her once a week. That's it. Just once. Which means, although other hours, I'm doing well. And by the way, she needs that. She needs that. And not at the time, but normally a little later, she thanks me. Right? You're going, what? What's that? What could that ever mean? It's just our way of getting along and we go, that's ridiculous. I go, well, yeah, it sure is. But we're at a place where if normally or most of the time we're pretty good, we think we're doing good. I only robbed the bank that once. Just once. And it was like 3 years ago. So, I'm due. If I rob it again, it's only once every 3 years. That's not so bad, is it? And that's normally how we look at it ourselves, emotionally, or our behavior. I don't cuss that much. But if I don't, I'm going to tell you something. Those kids, I can't get them to do anything. So I've got to. And I don't use the bad word. I don't use the bad cuss word like the guy down the street because I hear him. But I don't use the bad cuss word. But I do that. But I just tell you, to get them to do anything, you just have to do that. Or they just sit there all day. So you understand. I mean, that's part of parenting. Especially if you have teenagers, that's just what you do. When you have teenagers, it just talk to any parent that has or had teenagers, and it's just normal. And is God happy with that? Well, maybe not, but how else am I supposed to? That's not biblical parenting, is it? Or and on we go. And so there's all these things, and we can get wrapped up because spiritual emotional health is so multifaceted. We could spend so much time on so many issues, but this morning I just chose one, or I think it's going to be quite confusing. Is this the most important? Is this the only? No, I'm not saying that, but this is an important one. This is fairly key. And so, the indicator as to emotional, spiritual health for this morning as how are we doing, one thing, and an important thing to look at is this. It's anger. And it's easy to think, well, I don't get mad very often. And when I do, it only lasts for a few minutes. And in my family, everyone understands. That's just who I am. Therefore, we've learned how to handle this, and the family has learned how to tiptoe around me because I'm under a lot of stress, you see. And life isn't easy. It's never been easy. But it seems like the older I get, the harder it becomes. More things are out of control. And so, this is how I act. This is how I work out life. It's not every day. It's not all the time. It's just every so often this happens to erupt. And therefore, I think it's okay. I'm doing pretty good. I don't yell all week long. I don't have that look in my face all the time. It's just on occasion, and it's for good reason. And by the way, by the way, I think I'm in good company because, and here's the Christian rationalization, didn't Jesus get angry? And we always say, well, yeah, he did. There you go. Right? There you go. Now, he may not have cussed, but he got violent, didn't he? Didn't he, turn over tables? Well, my version of that is putting my fist through a wall. Or throwing things. But you know that some folks, their anger isn't of what looks like the angry variety. Some people, when they get angry, they just shut down. And they keep it all inside. So nobody can deal. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been in a relationship and you think something's wrong because they're not saying anything. And you say, is anything wrong? Oh, no. But you don't believe it? And you come back a little later, are you sure nothing's wrong? No. But you haven't talked to me in like a month. Sure nothing's wrong? Not a thing. They didn't raise their voice. They didn't cuss. They didn't throw anything. They didn't stomp around. How do you know how? It's because I had to. You know how when teenagers are mad, you know when they're mad, you know what the indicator is? It's this. Right? You hear it. No, I'm not mad. And you hear it, they're mad. Like they're mad. Another indicator is this. You can't see it. They roll their eyes. You know what that means? Mom and Dad's an idiot. They just roll their eyes. Mom, Dad's an idiot. They roll their eyes. Or they lose air. Careful, you may want that back. They just lose air. There's a leak that's there. Or the one word they can say is this: whatever. Don't you hate that word? Don't you hate that word? Whatever. You know what whatever means? It means take a hike. You're clueless. In my days, it was take a long walk on a short pier. Right? That was the polite way of communicating. So there's all this stuff going on. It's not always all that obvious, but it's still anger. The whole Jesus got mad, well, do you want to know why he got mad? It's because people were committing extortion in the place of worship. That's why. So be careful that you try to justify, an unrighteous anger by calling it the righteous kind of anger. Commit extortion, they were getting extortion in the temple, taking advantage of people that needed to worship. That's what was going on, and that just got him. Can we just admit that almost all, not all, I will never say all, but can we admit that almost all of our anger is of the unrighteous kind? Every now and then, though, we hear of things. When I want to say primarily, when someone who can't defend themselves is taken advantage of. When it's an elderly person, or whatever kind of handicap someone may have, it's a child, or it's an animal, a cat or a dog or horse, or whatever kind of an animal, and someone has taken advantage, and someone has made life cruel to that person and has caused trauma. There's a place there for what I would call some righteous anger. It doesn't mean you get to go out and slap them around, but something erupts, something comes up, and something needs to be done. And so when it happens, we need to do something. But deal with it in a biblical, I would say, righteous way. See, the issue when it comes to anger, it seems like we don't have a choice. Doesn't it? It just happens. Someone said, didn't do something. And we were in a good emotional place. And the next thing you know, there it is. And so it feels like I'm a victim to this thing called anger, and I can't help it. It just happens. Whenever this happens, I just get angry. I don't know. I wish I could understand it. I mean, no one ever thought, you're not thinking right now, Thursday, 2 p.m., I'm going to get mad. Not until then. But I'm going to put it on my calendar, Thursday, 2, that's my anger time. And I'm going to be mad until, 2:10, and then I'm done with it. And then I may choose to get angry at another time, but I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get angry unless I put it on my calendar. But just one of those things that I do every so often. I think it's good. I think it's healthy. It's not like that, is it? It just shows up. Something happens, and and the next thing you know, your volume increases, or you get squeaky, and your eyes bulge out, and there's that look on your face, and everyone's going, "Oh, here we go again." What is your problem? And they'll tell you, "Well, you did, and so what do you expect?" Jesus got angry. Away we go. The main issue driving all anger is this. Oh, please. There we go. You almost saw a preacher get angry. Here's a pet thing of mine. I can't stand anger coming out of a pulpit. I can't stand that. There is next to no place. Here again, there can be the righteous variety on occasion. And it's not that I tune in a lot, but sometimes, maybe in real life, but normally, whether it's TV or you come across these angry preachers. And I think, what is your problem? I can't imagine Christ exploding like that. It's in the name of God. And anyway, it was a little side there. The main issue of anger is pride. And I think there is a healthy kind of pride in that. I take pride in my work. I want to do a good job. And if ever you've had people who worked for you who didn't do a good job, you wish they would take some pride in their work. And so we're not saying, I think there can be an okay or a healthy kind of pride. I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good spouse. I want to be a good follower of Christ. And there can be a healthy kind of pride, but we're talking about a very unhealthy kind, and that is where I come first, I get my way, I get what I want, no one had better get in my way, because pride is essentially self-worship. You had better agree with me. And if you do not agree with me, let me tell you something. That just tells me you don't know the facts. Or you're not a rational thinker. Or better yet, you don't walk with God, or you would agree with me. So you better agree with me, or I'm going to get mad. And I may not yell at you, I may not hit you, but you'll see it somewhere. I will distance myself from you. Now here's the issue with pride. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before stumbling. Really? Yeah. In almost all anger or all unrighteous anger is linked to pride. That's absolutely right. So, therefore, anger is destructive. That's right. Anger will cause someone to stumble and fall. That's correct. That's how big of a deal it is. No one wants to be destroyed. No one wants to trip up. No one wants to cause destruction on others. I mean, hopefully not. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogance, and the evil way. We should just detest that. It's bad. And a few weeks ago, I talked on impatience. Impatience has to do with pride. Because often in impatience, get this, often in impatience, we get angry. Whenever you have to wait, it causes many people to act unbecomingly. They're not emotionally healthy because if I have to wait, and I shouldn't have to wait, I don't care if there is an accident up there. And I don't care if there is someone hurt and there's an ambulance and police cars. Now I have to wait. I'm going to be late. Or maybe you didn't have anywhere to go. I just want to get to wherever I'm going on my time schedule. I just want to eat now. You go into the waiting room at the doctor's place. I have to wait. You know they never take you on time. You know that, right? It's like a law. They can't take you on time. And even if they're back there doing nothing, they'll make you wait. Right? They're back there reading the paper, telling jokes, goofing off, and they just looking through the little window, making sure you're out there and you're getting antsy. You know what should happen? This is what should happen. For every 5 minutes we have to wait, shouldn't there be like a refund? Yeah, right. Can I get an amen? All right, finally got an amen. Wouldn't that be nice? Make me wait as much as I don't even care. I could be here all day, tell my employer I was at the doctor's office. I couldn't be at work. I had the doctor's office, and yet I made more money waiting than I would be at work. But I don't think that's happening. So careful with the impatience thing. These people with I have a lot to do today, I mean, I sort of get that. Let me help you with that list. I wasn't looking for help. I know. I'm going to help you anyway. Number one thing on your to-do list is love God and love people. That's always number one. Nothing should ever dislodge what's on number one to be any other number. The main thing is always the main thing. And how we show we love God is how we love people. It really isn't two separate issues. And so God says, you want a metric for how you love me? Let me give you your metric. Because it's so easy to say, oh, I love God. Oh, I love Jesus. Oh, he's my everything. And I do. How you doing with people? You know. People are messy, aren't they? People have problems. And isn't it easier to love a cat or a dog? Isn't it? It is. For you animal lovers, and if you're not, you should get one. And find out it is easier to love a cat or a dog normally than it is a person. And here's the other thing. if you ever get to a place where you don't love them anymore, you can put them down. Can't you? Can't you? Yeah. You just take them, they inject them, boom, they're out. It's done. You should not do that with a person. Okay, you get in trouble. You'll get in trouble if you do that. I'm just saying to save you a lot of heartache. Oh, I didn't know. Don't do that. Don't do that. This. It's so great to be a couple of churches past. You can tell all these stories about people in the other church you couldn't tell about when you were there because they all knew who it was. But this is a couple of churches past. You know this guy. This is a true story. His name was Rick as well, but it wasn't me. And this, okay. Yeah, I'm sure. But he had a rough drug background. Rough. In fact, when he talked to, he wasn't still on drugs, but he acted like he's still, you know what I'm saying? Everything was fried. And when he talked, it was it was sort of one of those hippies out of the 60s. Yeah. It just it was just slow and methodical, and something was gone there. Well, he had gotten out of jail, and him and a couple of buddies, okay, they were doing their drug thing, and then they know they shouldn't have done it, but they were doing their drug thing again, and so they eventually, pass out, go to sleep, whatever it was, and they wake up in the morning, except one of their buddies didn't wake up. He was dead. So they're thinking, if we call the police now, we're going to be in trouble. So what they did, the two or three or four of them took the dead person's body, and they went down to the river, and they just threw him on the bank and left him down there. Now, I don't know what that really has to do with this, but I just thought, don't do that. Oh, no, you can't just kill people. You just can't take them down and throw them down and expect the tide to rise or a big fish to come. You don't do that. That's what I was trying to say. So, we're about done here. Let me tell you, pride, that's it. Pride and fear and anger. Say, is that a big deal? It's a big deal. Here, and here's why. Be angry and don't sin. And that's the other verse people like to use. They like to dissect verses to justify unrighteousness. There you go. Be angry and don't sin. So we're told to be angry, but just don't sin, which is a very, 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 very hard thing to do. Then it says this, don't let the sun go down in your anger, meaning not that you check, sun up, sundown time, and I got 5 minutes. It's not that kind of a thing. Okay, I've got to be done with this. But it means be in control of your anger. Even when it's a righteous variety, be in control of your anger. And don't let it linger for long. You get away, you put it away really, really quickly. So you have to deal with it in an appropriate way. And you say, well, why would I do that? Why do I need to do that? Here's why. The very next verse tells you why. Don't give the devil an opportunity. That's why. So anger gives the devil an opportunity. An opportunity for what? And that's a good question. Now, I'm going to assume nobody here wants to give the devil an opportunity. Do you? Oh, yeah. I mean, that could be entertaining, giving the devil an opportunity. This could be a whole new movie. I could write maybe a book of it. No one wants to give the devil an opportunity because what he is about, and he is always about destruction. And so the good reason not to let anger linger or not to have really anger at all is it gives him an opportunity. And that's all he needs. He will take advantage of an opportunity. Oh, just give him an opportunity. But what happens is anger gives him an opportunity to destroy. Destroy what? Relationships. He's always into the destruction of relationships. Always. The greatest pain in your life is relational pain. If you no longer risk, you can no longer love. If you no longer love, you can no longer grow. What? What does risk have to do with love? About everything. Remember, guys, when you asked, will you marry me? And right then, you didn't know. You know what you could have said? Are you kidding? I just didn't have nothing to do on Friday nights, and you took me out to eat and a movie. Marry you? That's a laugher. She could have. She could have. But you had to risk. And even now, love is a risk. It's risky. But unless you do, you won't grow. And so many people have built a wall upon themselves. I will not risk. I will not risk. Therefore, I will not love. No wonder life has kind of gotten stale. No risk, no love, no growth. Don't give it an opportunity, because he will destroy. I guarantee you, he will destroy. Satan loves to destroy that which God is attempting to construct. That's the business he's into. Don't you know that's why there's so much anger in the home? There's so much anger in so many churches. Why? Why? And we go, well, I'm right, they're wrong. It's not a right or wrong issue. It really isn't. We love to turn it into right or wrong issues. God, it's not that. It's love or not love issues. That's what it is. It's I will or I will not give the devil an opportunity. That's the issue. Don't turn it into this other. That is absolute nonsense. But we're so good at justifying nonsense in the name of Jesus. The adversary loves for there to be anger wherever it can possibly be. So we can destroy what God's trying to build. And that's why it says in a few verses later in Ephesians 4, it says, let all, get this word all. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. All is a key word there. It doesn't leave any room for any of this stuff to come in. All means all here. There isn't some exceptions. It just means all. Do away with it. Did you know that talking poorly about another person is almost always, sometimes you have to come together and the attempt is to help, but it's almost always out of anger and about destruction. Did you know that if you say hi and the other person says, huh, is there something going on there? And if you say, oh, not that I know of, well, brighten up a bit. Of course there is. Or they used to connect, there used to be a closeness, but not anymore. You know what's happened? The devil has been given an opportunity. He took advantage of that opportunity. So, take it upon yourself that anger is no longer a biblical option at any time. No, once a week doesn't make it okay. Once a year doesn't make it okay. Every time I get behind a slow driver doesn't make it okay. Every time things don't go as fast as you want it to and impatience comes in, it doesn't make it okay. I got a lot to do. You know what? You don't have that much to do. Let me tell you the number one thing to do. I already told you, love God and love people. That's the number one thing you have to do. Anger, both the evident and also the hidden varieties, because there are hidden varieties of anger. And I can't get into a lot of that, but they're there. Just because someone smiles doesn't mean they're not mad. People that are habitually late to meetings, it could be anger. Huh? And they show up, oh, better late than never. You know what I want to say? Never's better than late. Oh. Now, I know some of you church stuff. I'm talking about when you need to be to meet, and they're waiting on you before they start. Or you come in and they have to go over stuff, 15 minutes. I'm talking, and if that's habitual, there are times, right? There are times we get it. When it happens time after time after time, I go, what's going on? I'm not saying it is, but it could be a form of anger. So put it away. Gossip is anger. I would talk badly about someone, not in a way of trying to help, but so we can have a little bit of fun at their expense. It destroys loving relationships, and that's what God is here for. Jesus died so we could be in relationship. That's why he died and we rose from the grave. Anger destroys all that stuff. So. Tell yourself it's never okay. It's never okay. It's never okay. Don't give yourself wiggle room where biblically there isn't any. Get emotionally healthy so we can all be spiritually healthy. Because in a place where everyone or most everyone is emotionally healthy, God can do anything he wants. In a place that isn't, God can do hardly nothing until it happens. He's sitting there, I don't say hoping and waiting, but he sure wish it was different. So we can all be busy. Let's be busy getting emotionally healthy. Pray with me. Lord, thank you so much for the clarity of your word. Help us to really get in control and understand the emotional side and how that is so key in the home, in your kingdom. And if we've ignored it for a long time, help us to ignore it no longer. Thank you for your goodness to us at all times. We pray this in Christ's name.